Speaking of which, Emma Ray Kamara is brilliant at helping us co-create and has some information to share in that domain now.
So thank you, Bev. So I will wander over to PowerPoint and do a shared screen. But before I do that, I'm just going to share with you, it was my intention to have a lot of photographs and a lot of things to help pull this energy across. However, I was called upon by the Company of Heaven to do something else the last 2 days that required immediate attention. So you're going to get to let me telepathically and audibly share a lot of this information, which will be a wonderful learning experience for all of us. So we're going to do this. I have a little bit to share with you, but not nearly as much as I'd hoped. So we will go on as planned, and let's see, there's this, and I think that's right. So
yes, it's up.
It's up, and now I'm gonna, there we go. So the focus of this is gaining awareness of how to co-create with overlighting devas and councils, which are everywhere in creation and a very active part of creation, especially in the higher realms. As we are awakening and coming into these higher frequency bands, it is now more than ever an opportunity for everyone to be aware of the devas and the councils and to consciously connect, discuss, and include these beings in the conversation when we are inventing things, making plans for property, taking down the dams and re-establishing the ecosystems. The overlights, the divas, Gaia herself, all would like to be included in the conversation. And all things that we create on the physical plane begin in the higher planes of creation and come down here through our inspirations and guidance. So this picture is one that I brought in just to remind everyone that everything starts in the higher planes and comes down, as I just said. And the rainbows, every time you see a rainbow, this is a reminder of the energies of light and love coming from the heavens to the earth and into form. So remember that. Think of rainbows. Think of these divine happenings on the planet that will allow you to connect. And remember, the physical plane is the last place that things manifest. So what happens is, in the beginning, and Janet and a few people asked me to please talk about the causal plane a little bit, which I will do. So the causal plane is one of the higher planes where the blueprints comes into form are created. It is the plane, it's the realm of cause. It's also associated with the divine love energy, which is what brings the light into form and then steps it down into the physical plane. So when we are coming up with ideas or asking questions, this is all of our questions, all of our ponderings are taken up to the realms of cause. And the realms of cause, the causal plane is, there's a difference of opinion about what that is exactly, but my awareness, because I spend a majority of my time on the causal plane, because that's where my soul does its work. And it's a multiple dimensional reality. So it's not just this dimension or this, it's many the but the energies come in, we receive intentions, questions, and from both from the earth, where when we are asking for resolution on something or help, that request has to come from the realm where the help is needed. This is part of the cosmic laws. So we receive questions, and the councils, which are all the realms, all come together and create solutions. And then the solutions are put into blueprints, large and small, whether they are for an individual or for a community or planet or ecosystem, it doesn't matter. And then those plans are given over to an overlighting diva or light council to oversee their being brought into form. I talked a little bit more about this on the December 6th video, Light is Design, Love is Form, if you want to go back and listen to that talk. So I put this picture here because this is, as we are learning to step down, to ask the question, and then to receive the response, one of the most important parts of this are making direct connection with the nature kingdoms, acknowledging their presence, acknowledging their consciousness, and knowing that when we are saying, I would like to do this thing, such as how are we going to clean up the oceans? How are we going to restore the ecosystems when the dams come down? Having these direct communications with the intelligence of nature is imperative, and it is all tied in to the divine blueprints. So when we receive these blueprints, which you can get them directly, or you can get them through a dream inspiration, when you're awake and you're actively saying, okay, I'm choosing, I am my I am presence, and I am connecting with these councils, and I am saying, here's the question, you know, how do we restore the ecosystems where all the landfills are, for instance? What is the resolution to take all of that garbage and transmute it back into energy and then restore the ecosystems? And you put those questions out, and if you're actively listening, then you will then be able to commune directly with the councils through the divine blueprints and have them be shown. One thing, let's see, I think I have this on here, yes. So number one, asking the question. And as we have said many times, environmental restoration is the focus right now. What we are speaking of here, you can do for anything, personal projects, your personal health. Now our focus is, let's correct the miscreations of Earth, all these things that we have done that have caused so much trouble for the planet herself, for Gaia, and we've done so much damage to the ecosystems. Let's start there in asking the questions, how do we correct these things? So we put forth the intention to connect. We ask the questions, we make the connection, and then we listen and ask for guidance. But by doing that, instead of just from the mental body, where so much of the inspiration and the inventions have occurred coming into the mental body, instead of, as Ray was teaching us earlier, connecting in with the heart connection, coming into the heart, listening through our I am presence, getting the full understanding, the full awareness and clarity of what is to be done with nature, not to nature, not on nature, not instead of nature, but with. This is about expanding our creative process to include all of the realms. And these overlighting divas are given the blueprints that are created in response to either our asking a question, or as far as the divine blueprint of Earth and the fifth dimensional restoration, much of that has come from the Godhead and is being stepped down to our level. it started by people on the earth making clarion calls, asking for help. But then the major plan, because of the size of it, is created from the Godhead down. So once you have made that connection, you're asking the question, putting forth the intention of receiving the highest outcome, then you get to be aware and surrender the question and listen with all of your senses to what is being shown to you. You get to release the tunnel vision, has to look like this, be this way, mental body construct, come in this way, and allow the magic to come in. Realms can speak to you from all the different dimensions and show you a way of doing things that was lost from this planet millions of years ago that is now returning. So it's not going to be in a realm of your experience unless you are deeply connected with these realms through your soul. But if you haven't had those experiences, either on a different planet, in a different embodiment elsewhere, or in very ancient days when this sort of thing was going on, it will not be in your realm of knowing as a human. So you get to expand and allow the heart connection to come in and allow the magic to come in so that you can really embrace that there is a multidimensional creation process occurring, multidimensional, and you're creating with many, many beings who on this physicality are not visible unless you are clairvoyant. And you're being allowed for that to be all right, and for you to stretch your senses, expand your senses, learn how to listen, learn how to see, learn how to receive the energy, acknowledge these beings as being true, and let them guide you as to what the highest outcome is for nature, with nature, to bring this into a fifth dimensional and higher outcome. So this picture, which I hope you can all see, this photograph is of an overlighting diva from, I took this picture in Depot Bay at the park, and she came out and made herself visible by hovering in front of the trees so that when I took the photograph, she showed up. And she was curious about me when she came out, but we stood and we talked for a while. But these beings are of a much higher frequency and dimension. They are present everywhere, everywhere. And every project, no matter how small or how large, has an overlight, either an individual diva or a council. And we as individuals, such as with Ray's process with his property, there is an overlighting diva who is the overlight of the council, because there is also a council involved there. So, and they all have different expertise on what to bring to the table of bringing different high options into form for that farm. And it's part of the conversation. So when we see ourselves like the Bless All Life Council coming into a circle to discuss options, we get to expand that. And this is what we do at the beginning of our calls. We call in the directions. We call in the realms of magic. We call in and anchor into the unity grid, which then connects us with everyone and everything in the universe. And these different options, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. If I can remember how, there we go. And just talk to you directly. So when we are working with councils, instead of just seeing the people, we now get to expand that and be aware through our I am presence that there is an overlighting diva. There are the galactic presence. There are all these beings from the heavenly host and from our star planets and from within the earth and the nature kingdoms themselves, the animals, the plants, the overlights, all coming to the table with us to be part of the conversation, to be included in what is the best next step? What is the outcome? How do we do this? So we're doing it with all of them, with the elements and the elementals, because everything we do affects everyone, absolutely everyone. And they're just as much a part of the universe and the earth as we are. So as we are moving forward and anchoring heaven on earth, like up in the causal planes and higher, all of the realms come to the table and are part of the conversation. We acknowledge them, we ask their permission. We don't push ourselves on them. We all as a race on this planet now are getting to learn what that feels like. We have for a long time been in a place of slavery on this planet. Most of us have not even been aware of it. And people are waking up now and going, that doesn't feel very good. We are choosing our freedom. Well, while we are doing that, we get to then turn to the kingdoms of nature and give them the same gift, because we have enslaved them the way we have been enslaved. Mm-hmm. And we have done it out of pure ignorance. So now is this opportunity to do unto others as you would like to have others do unto you. Acknowledge their presence. They're all part of the divine. We connect with the I am presence and the true divine nature in all of life. We acknowledge the devas. We acknowledge the angels and the holy hosts. And we come to the table of counsel to create the solutions together. And we listen and we are respectful and we know that everyone has an equal contribution. And as we do this in our smaller councils, that is going to emanate around the earth. So when you hear scientists and different people who are saying, I've got this all figured out, ask them, are they doing it strictly from up here? Or who are they talking to? Where is the inspiration coming from? Are they connecting with the entire blueprint, or are they just getting a small part of it? And then putting that out, thinking that that in its own self is the solution. Maybe it is, and maybe it is not. When we take a piece out, it's like the pharmaceuticals who took years ago when they were still making things out of plants, they would take a plant, they would take the active ingredient out and leave the rest. Poof, we don't need that part. The buffering, the stuff that makes it so there's no side effects, you know, we don't need that. And we'll make this and put it out there. When we create without connecting it with the blueprints and the devas and the nature kingdoms and include them in the conversation, we are only doing the active ingredients because we're getting the immediate outcome that we desire without the idea of what is the effect on the overall harmony of the planet and all of the systems. So that's the big piece. I will, as Ray brought forth his farm, my work as the nature whisperer is my business. This conversation is the center pole of what I'm doing here and what I'm presenting. So if you're interested in this type of conversation, there's much more to come than I can begin to put in this short conversation. So, but I hope that was helpful, and thank you very much. Yeah, there.
Yes, thank you, Emma Ray. That was very helpful and also insightful, and I appreciate the way you broke down the steps to make it more digestible. Is not quite the right word, but you know what I mean. So it's really important to consider the various factors as we're co-creating a new reality, and being respectful of all elements